The overcrowding meant that large numbers of students had to sleep on the gym floor. 6 years ago, there were only 3,000 students. By now, there are over 5,000. To cope with the growing demand for accommodation, this student village was built last year. It has 178 houses and 1,000 students live here. To me, it looks a bit Brookside-y. Some houses are for disabled students, and 8 have been turned into flats for married couples. There aren't any shops, but there is a bar. Student rents in Aberystwyth are on a par with London. Personally, I prefer the warden-free zone in town.
Aberystwyth Art Centre has a radical approach to the arts. One night you could be listening to Chopin, the next watching the Chippendales. And the visual arts is a bit out of the ordinary as well.
One step in the wrong direction, and there goes a priceless work of art. You could cause havoc in a place like this with a hoover, couldn't you? And it's not just indoor art.
Ruth Jên paints murals for public and private commissions. It cheers me up when I'm waiting for the bus.
It all started with Gweled, an agency that promotes the arts through the medium of Welsh. And I was only given about a week or something to come up with a design, so it was very basic, very stylised, as you can see. So I decided to base it on the Welsh alphabet.
As we move further out into the deeper water of the bay, there we find killer whales. We actually have killer whales migrating through our waters. One of the biggest threats that is facing the bay at the moment is the oil and gas that's coming here. Now, what friends at Cardigan Bay are hoping to impress upon the government, because it's the government who've seen fit to allow these operations to take place in such sensitive waters. What we're trying to impress upon them is that until more is known about the possible effects of these operations on the mammals of the bay, that really all such operations should be suspended. And if the activities of the oil and gas companies are having a detrimental effect on fish stocks, then there is no reason then, unfortunately, for the dolphins to be here anymore.
The 1992 general election and the first ever British Green MP is elected as a result of a pact with Plaid Cymru. His name? Dafis. So much for conservative rural Wales. But then Ceredigion has always had a tradition of radical thinking.
What's the news with my rhyme, cause I can't be kept back from the floor where I'll dissect and intercept the propaganda that we elect, clarify the claim of my dialect. You say you're a liberal, I say what the heck, redistribution. You say where's my check, but check yourself, guy, guess this what you get, reap what you sow.
Y drefn sydd yn ddrwg, nid y dynion sy'n ei gweithio hi. Mae pob plaid, tair plaid fawr, maen nhw sefyll dros yr un peth, dros yr hen drefn sydd wedi achosi cymaint o drylodi a goddioddef yn y byd.
One man inspired by Niclas a Glais, another Aberystwyth man, was David Ifan Jones, who went in 1913 to help fight for the rights of the black people in South Africa. Learning African languages, he wrote and distributed leaflets to African workers, getting beaten up by whites for his trouble.
David Ifan Jones is, I would say, the Welsh radical tradition at its most exciting and at its best. And he left Wales for health reasons and became involved then in one of the most important modern political movements, the movement for the emancipation of black people in South Africa.
David Ifan Jones represented Africa as the ANC's first man in Moscow at the 1921 World Revolutionary Congress. He was also buried there alongside Khrushchev and Tolstoy.
Pick a heart, please don't break my pick a heart, pick a heart.
Please don't break my big gay heart.
Aberystwyth has been described as the gay capital of Wales. Do you think that's true?
It is true in some ways, yes, because I think when Stonewall did a sort of research project into how active people were politically in various parts of Great Britain, Aberystwyth came out something like 14th out of Great Britain, and that was definitely the highest in Wales, even higher than Cardiff.
You've also described Aberystwyth as the San Francisco of Wales.
Yes, Aberystwyth has sort of similarities, because we've got a famous bridge in Aberystwyth too, Pentre Jane, and the sea and the surf and lovely weather, and you know, it just got this sort of gentle and relaxed atmosphere as well that you tend to connect with sort of San Francisco and a West Coast life.
San Francisco, every Aberystwyth,
It's a bit funny to be speaking English in here, because this is the Welsh Language Society, Cymdeithas Iaith Gymraeg's main office, where I worked for 2 years. And some of the most important language campaigns in Europe have been masterminded from here. 30 years of non-violent campaigns have won a Welsh TV channel, bilingual road signs and Welsh on official documents, use of the Welsh language in education, and the right to use Welsh in court. Our targets now are the quangos that run Wales. It might be news to Lord Ellis Thomas, but the battle for the Welsh language has not been won.
The first actions of Cymdeithas Iaith were in the Aberystwyth area. That was, I think, simply because there was a group of students there who held radical views and who were determined to do something to change the prospects of the Welsh language, and particularly the official status of the Welsh language, which was hardly existent at all at the beginning of the 1960s. In order to make the Welsh language secure, there's a great deal of work yet to be done, a great deal of work indeed.
Ironically, Tafod y Ddraig, the dragon's tongue, the Cymdeithas Iaith's official organ, is printed here in a former police station at nearby Talabont by a Lolfa, owned by another veteran campaigner, Robert Griffiths.
A Lolfa employs 14 people and publishes 30 to 40 books every year, as well as several newspapers, magazines and posters. It has a reputation for publishing controversial books other publishers wouldn't dream of printing, as well as a large number of children's books, novels and poetry. The bestsellers are the Welsh learners' books. Welsh is Fun has sold over 100,000 copies.
Chi wedi cyhoeddi lot o lyfrau ysgawn dros y blynyddoedd. Chi hefyd yn cyhoeddi lot o lyfrau radical.
Fel pob Cymru normal material i ni gan wytholwyr Cymreig, wastad wedi bod gwestiynnu'r peth, rhywun beth am rhywun arall, rhywun wlad arall, a i ni'n gweld cyhoeddi pethau fel yn beth hollol naturiol. Yn achos llyfr FWA, gaethon ni'n ymweliad ar heddlu, ond wedi trafeilu copiau.
Chi'n sicr yn cyhoeddi pethau yna fydda gweis gerell yn ni cyhoeddi?
Odyn, wel dyle unrhyw wasg fywiog bod a polisi i hunain o bethau maen nhw eisiau cyhoeddi, pethau maen nhw'n ymddiddori yno. A'n gwbl ni wedi gwneud yw trio yn ddwyn fel gwasg normal, creadigol yn dweud.
Robert's first publication was LOL, noted for its scantily clad women. In 1972, he was chased around the Eisteddfod field by an irate mother whose 17-year-old daughter had appeared topless in the magazine. I bet there's a copy in here.
It's not just the ancient and rare manuscripts they've got here. They've got every single edition of every daily newspaper here as well. In fact, you can find just about everything that's been published in Britain here.
But any enterprising young student with a penchant for some extracurricular activities and a playboy or two is likely to be faced with a stony wall of silence. Carpet news is as close as I got.
This is the only British office of a pan-European organisation called the Mercator project, where media information is collected on the 23 unofficial European languages, one of which is Welsh.
So what's Mercator's brief?
Mercator is split into 4 at the moment. There are 4 centres.
This one here in Aberystwyth, one in Barcelona, one in Friesland and one in Paris. And all 4 centres collect data about these less used languages or minority languages. The programme's actually working in Welsh at the moment, but it can work in, I think, in 13 languages at the moment. There are 2 of us full-time staff, and we've 2 young people working with us as well. One from Wales and one who is an Albanian speaker from Sicily.
Faint o ieithoedd wyt ti'n siarad dy hun?
Wel, Eidaleg, Albanic, Sicilieg is a dialect, Italian dialect. Ac nawr yma tipyn bach Saesneg ac Gymraeg.
Oedd ti'n siarad Saesneg cyn dod i Aberystwyth?
No,
Felly,
just nawr.
Ti wedi dysgu 2 iaith mewn 5 mis?
Mistroli iaith lleiafrifol fel hobi, platiau dwyieithog I helpu y gyrru, agwedd cwbl addas ar gyfer...
Mundo Ashoan, estago ein beste tokiri. Sembat bandera.
Had behul mi rief gan fi'n bryn gael I cyr television y Cymru.
Desgetamus, Brezonic in Aberystwyth.
Friesland had me to biden dan Kai.
Myself as a Welsh speaker, what I've realised, there are tens and tens of groups of people who are in the same sort of situation. By identifying with other people in the same kind of situation, I think it gives you a little bit of a boost to carry on and to find new ideas and new ways of working.
One group of artists that have found a new way of working are Colourscape. They have had to design and construct an inflatable studio as their projects were getting bigger. They make things from hot air and plastic. And the latest project houses an opera and an audience in a balloon on Clapham Common.
How did you come by this idea in the first place?
I was a painter and sculptor, and it's in some ways bringing the 2 things together. I mean, colour's really been my main interest. In a way that colour and light are surrounding you, not something which is out there separate from you, but something you're actually inside. When you're inside Colourscape, I mean, you're part of it very much. I mean, everything you're looking at is surrounding you.
Yeah.
And every time you move, something's changing.
And with light and shade, I suppose it's never the same, is it?
Exactly.
Hello, yes. Do you have the relevant documents?
Most people don't know that the maximum student grant is only £2,500 a year. That's hardly enough to pay for accommodation, and the grant is still going down. Students are having to take out loans. I have 2 myself. Almost all students will leave college in debt.
This is where we go when things get too much for us.
What are you doing here then, Nia?
There's no grant available, so I need to work during the summer.
So that's why you're working?
Well, yes.
Being a chambermaid?
Yes, and the fact that student grants don't actually cover any holidays at all.
But aren't you entitled to any benefits?
No, not at all, because whilst you're still a student, then you're not entitled to dole or anything.
So how's that affected your financial position?
Basically, after paying hall fees, there's not enough to live on.
So you think a lot of students are working then to help themselves through college?
Yes, I think they must, to be honest.
Yo, Carlo, Carlo, Carlo Arpolo, Carlo, Carlo, Carlo Arpolo, gita dadi, dadi.
Although Prince Charles has hardly spoken a word of Welsh since 1969, one of his private tutors, Bobby Jones, founded Cyd, an organisation that encourages Welsh learners to use Welsh outside the lessons. One of Cyd's teachers, Harvard Robert, co-presents a show for local community radio station Radio Ceredigion, bizarrely entitled What's Welsh for Oxo?
Radio Ceredigion.
mab a probit ydw I a chroeso I What's the Welsh for Oxo.
It's a difficult situation to be in. Welsh learners are Welsh learners until they become Welsh speakers. When do they reach that
point? Well, I mean, that's been a topic of conversation, you know, that we hope also that there are Welsh people who listen to the programme, because one of the problems is not that the English person who's learning Welsh, he's got enough problem going out there and using the language, but there's another problem with us Welsh speakers in responding to them in Welsh, because very often we're at fault in switching to English straight away.
And what is the Welsh for Oxo anyway?
Echo.
Echo. Echo. What's this Celtic challenge all about then, Alan?
Well, a few years ago we decided to start rowing and to row to raise money for various charities in the town. There were so many people showing an interest in the rowing that we decided to invite more teams to row, and we did the Irish Sea and we called it the Celtic Challenge.
Where's the bar on this boat? Where are the duty frees coming on in, boys?
What do you remember now about Woodstock 25 years on?
Well, on a day like today, I remember the good things about it. I remember the Saturday afternoon when it was bright and sunny and beautiful, and just wall-to-wall people and love and peace.
And you're now the mayoress, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
Do you enjoy it? It doesn't cramp your style?
I really enjoy it, and actually I think it's helped me develop a style, because I've met so many more people and been in so many different situations, things that I never ever would have done before. I really love it. You're really so free here. You know, there's very little pressure to conform. You can, if you do have any individualities or eccentricities, you really have the chance to develop them here. One of the most funny things I've done was actually bob around on a boat from the harbour right across the bay here, towing a 20-foot huge transparent balloon with a trapeze in the middle with someone sitting in it.
Only in Aberystwyth.
Only in Aberystwyth, and then you always get the passing pop star and things like that, you know.
Well, what's a black American doing in Aberystwyth? Well, like I said on my TV documentary not so long ago, Tom Jones went over there, so I came over here. First question the guy said to me was, "Phil, you're a black American from New York." He said, "Siarad Cymraeg?" I said, "Rafwch nawr, boss bach. Fi'n twpsen Americanwyr di, dim siarad Cymraeg, yn y tipyn bach nawr. Dysgu Cymraeg nawr." And he said, "Well, that's terrific. That'll do for now, you know." I have a little farm. I'm a farmer now, and a farmer. Oh, you gotta be a Welsh farmer, innit? You know, it doesn't matter where you come from. Green wellies up to there.
So before we run out of tape now then, Phil, can you tell us what's so special about Aberystwyth again?
What is special about everything special about Aberystwyth? It's an unbelievable little town. It's this is the heartland of Wales, you know. And where else can you learn how to speak the language unless you come to Aberystwyth? Beautiful seaside town. It has everything: glorious sunshine, beautiful beach, promenade. You have Phil Fernando and his Rhythm Express blues band playing blues and rock and roll at all the local joints around here, everywhere, at the Arts Center, all the local clubs.
Aberystwyth is the ideal size. Everyone knows each other, and it's never very far from cafe to cafe during the day or from pub to pub during the night. There are 52 pubs in Aberystwyth. That's too many for one night, but at least there's one for every week of the year. You can find nights for folk music, even nights for Irish Gaelic.
This is one of the oldest institutions in Aberystwyth. It's the St David's Club. It's also the first gentleman's club in Wales. And I'm going to go in, and you're not, because it's members only.
David Bowie bought Ziggy Stardust here, it cost Keith Morris 40 pence to get in.
Oh, there's Keith Morris, but Keith Morris the photographer. Keith is working on a project to photograph all the Keith Morrises in Wales. They'll be the only people invited to the opening of his exhibition.
Imagine the scene, you know. Hello, Keith, this is Keith. Keith, this is Keith. Keith, can I just introduce you to Keith? Keith, this is Keith. And I'd like to see like, just the room full of Keith Morrises. No friends, no wives, no girlfriends, no partners, just Keith.
You'll never forget his name, that's one thing.
Precisely. I started last year to go about it in a serious way of tracking down all the Keith Morrises in Wales, going through all the phone books, electoral rolls, anybody I could think of who would know a Keith Morris. And I've managed to find, so far, 71, 72 of us living in Wales.
Is it a common thread amongst Morrises?
Somehow or other, being a Keith Morris makes you a little bit outside the norm. Don't ask
Really?
me why that is, Alec. But I think there's a maverick element to the Keith Morris.
You are a fruitcake.
I am a fruitcake. I'm happy to admit that.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Dylai camera. As one academic here leaves Aberystwyth, degrees in hand, there will be another to fill his place in 3 months' time. And it doesn't take a degree to work out that our time at Aberystwyth has come to an end now. Where's that bus gone?
Next tonight on BBC Wales on One Tomorrow's World.
Only one thing to do, sweat lodge.
Of course I did my clothes up. As far as cows are concerned, I couldn't tell a jersey from a jumper. I'm caught in the current here, and this could be good night.